Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. It is the player ratings to Everton 1, Southampton 0 at Goodison Park. Another 3 points for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton Football Club. Wasn't the greatest game whatsoever, wasn't the greatest performance whatsoever, but ultimately the 3 points is all that matters. Before we get into this player ratings, don't forget to check out the Football News 365 app, an absolutely unbelievable app to keep you up to date with all of your latest Everton news, fixtures and results. You can check out the link in the top line of the description to download it. It's available on iOS, Android, all of that good stuff. Like I said, all your latest Everton news, all your latest Everton scores, results, table, all of that good stuff. So don't forget to check out the app in the description. Anyway, getting into the play ratings then. Jordan Pickford, have given him an 8 today. Truth be told, he didn't have an awful lot to do whatsoever. In fact, he only had a couple of bits and bobs to do in the entire game, to be honest with you. An 8 might be a little bit generous, considering there were a couple of times that he flapped the corners and maybe come out and attempted to punch it when he could have caught it, or just stayed on his line, really, and allowed the defenders to deal with it. But I thought today's distribution on a number of occasions was very good. There was a couple of times when he put it right on Mason Holgate's foot, you know, quite far up the pitch with room for Mason to go and run on. His distribution, of course, had a pivotal part to play in the goal. He plays it up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who, of course, plays it to Sigurdsson and then Richarlison. And ultimately, he keeps us in the game in the last 5 minutes. Again, you know, we can say what we like about Jordan Pickford's distribution and we can criticise that, and we will criticise that if it leads to a goal. But ultimately, that save from Vestergaard in the box in the final, 2 or 3 minutes of the game is absolutely massive. I thought it was a guaranteed goal. As soon as I seen the ball fall to him, I thought, that's it, that's in, and we've thrown away, a valuable 3 points there. But he doesn't. He pulls up with an unbelievable save, very similar to the one he made at Anfield last week against Mo Salah. So he gets an 8 today for me. Like I said, he's won that game for me today, along with Jordan Pickford. He's won that game with that massive save. Onto the back line then. Luca Dean, I've given him a 7 today. Thought he was okay. Certainly defensively. I think the thing with the defences today, they weren't massively punished. I mean, Danny Ings, I don't think had many touches in our box, if any. Certainly not in that second half. And other than the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes where Southampton really pushed and they had a couple of chances to get back into the game, there wasn't an awful lot the defence could have done. It was very much picking the ball up and moving it back out. Like I said, it wasn't the most entertaining game of football whatsoever. I thought Luca Dean played a couple of decent balls into the box, played a decent free kick into the area as well, which I think Michael Keane got on the end of, but just couldn't guide the header in. He also played a couple of poor balls in, to be fair, as well, where maybe if he had a little bit more time, he could have picked the pass a little bit better. But I thought he was decent today. I don't think he'd done anything particularly wrong, to be honest with you. Won a couple of fouls as well, got us forward, some nice bits in play on that left hand side to get us out of dangerous situation. So he is getting a 7. Michael Keane's getting a 7.5. Would have been obviously excellent for him to get his goal. I think that would have been brilliant, but obviously Mason Holgate is standing in an offside position, to be fair. But he won a lot of those headers, Michael Keane. He caused Southampton real issues. It's a shame that we couldn't make them pay from those set pieces, because like I said, there was a number of times, 4 or 5 times, when the ball was coming into the box and Michael Keane was winning those headers in dangerous areas and they were just coming of nothing. They were either going out or he couldn't quite guide them goal side. There was one where he heads it to the back post, it gets headed back, and I think Ben Godfrey takes a shot. And I think it's deflected wide for another corner. Didn't really have an awful lot to do defensively, like I said. Probably maybe could have done a little bit better for the Vestergaard situation, because the ball is bouncing around the box and nobody really has control of that. And I think the Gineppo shot towards the back end of the game as well, I think he just walks through everybody. Well, not Gineppo specifically. I think Southampton just walk through everybody and it gets played to him and he fires it wide. But overall, I think Michael Keane had a decent game today. Like I said, not an awful lot to do defensively. Won a lot of those aerial balls in the opposition box as well. Just a shame that none of them could be guided towards goal. Ben Godfrey then next to him, have given him a 7.5 as well. Thought he was very, very solid. Very similarly, not an awful lot to do defensively. Everything he had to do on the floor, I thought he done confidently, he done well. He got the ball out on a couple of occasions. He wasn't he sort of wasn't caught. There was one time, I think, when he had a little bit of a fumble with Che Adams in the box, and they both sort of went down, and Che Adams was screaming for the penalty, and it was never a penalty. But other than that, he didn't let Danny Ings get the wrong side of him. He didn't let Che Adams get the wrong side of him. He defended really well in the bits that he had to do, but again, similar to Michael Keane, there wasn't an awful lot of defending for him to do throughout the game. Other than that last sort of 5 or 10 minute spell where I think everybody was a little bit panicky, but I thought he had a decent game. Not an awful lot done going forward. He did go up, I think, for every corner. Like I said, that chance where the ball fell to him, and you are sort of screaming for him to just put his laces through it basically and lamp it into the top corner, but he doesn't quite get the connection. But he's getting a 7.5. I don't think he done much wrong. Mason Holgate's getting a 7. He'd probably get a 7.5 as well if it wasn't for the couple of times that he had the ball and he just gifted it away far too easily. I actually think Mason was a little bit different. His performance was a little bit different today than what we usually see him. I think he got forward on a couple of more occasions, and you know what, he done really well in those periods as well, because he was winning free kicks when he needed to. He was keeping hold of the ball and moving it forward. Like I said, he had 1 or 2 opportunities to put crosses into the box, but his final ball just wasn't quite there for me. There was one cross where he has loads of space and he puts it over and it goes out for the throw-in on the other side. There's one where Jordan Pickford plays an unbelievable ball to him, like I said, and he's got space to run into. He's got time and space, and I think he ties a clever ball into Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin doesn't read it, and even if he did read it, it's a poor pass and it gets swept up by Fraser Forster. So I think, like I said, defensively again, very similar to Godfrey and Keenan Dean. He didn't have an awful lot to do defensively, Mason Holgate, but going forward, I think we've seen a little bit more of him today, but we also seen that side of him that we look at and think, right, you need to really sharpen up your distribution, you need to sharpen up your balls into the box, you need to sharpen up your final ball if you're going to continue to play it right back, because defensively, again, no issues today. Wasn't put under a lot of pressure, but no issues, and he finds himself in decent areas on the right-hand side of the pitch. I think Mason Holgate, he can worm himself into decent positions, and he won a free kick as well for us in a very good area when I think it was Andre Gomez gave the ball away into Danny Ings, and he nicked it off Danny Ings, Mason, and won a free kick. But again, like I said, when it come to it, just wasn't good enough on the with the balls into the box. But overall, a decent performance from Mason. He's getting a 7. Gylfi Sigurdsson have given him a 7.5. Again, not massively involved throughout the entire game. Got involved in bits and spells and held the ball up well when he needed to. Off the ball, we did get caught a couple of times by Southampton where we were caught sleeping. But again, on the ball, I don't think he done much wrong whatsoever, Gylfi Sigurdsson. Plus, that pass for Richarlison for the goal is just absolutely exquisite. If it was James Rodriguez, we'd all be sitting here lauding it. So it's important that we do the same for Gylfi Sigurdsson. Like I said, very, very similar, to be fair, to James Rodriguez's pass in the Merseyside derby last week, where he plays it into the space. Richarlison gets onto it and takes it around the keeper and scores. It's an excellent pass. And overall, I thought on the ball he done well as well. To be honest, I thought he held it up well. And like I said, he kept possession when he needed to, but wasn't massively involved in the game. Andre Gomez, then I've given Andre Gomez an 8.5. I thought he was very, very, very similar to the Andre Gomez of the 2018-19 season. To be honest with you, he was holding the ball up well. There was a couple of times when he gifted it away, I must admit. I don't think it was a perfect performance. That's just my opinion. You might think I'm being too harsh. There was a couple of times when he gifted it away a little bit too easily. Like I said, that one occasion where Mason had to nick it from Danny Ings and win the free kick. He also gave away a couple of silly free kicks in dangerous areas when, they've got a lot of quality in those areas. But overall, today he was very, very good, Andre Gomez. Comfortable on the ball, I thought. Used his body well. Like, when I say it was reminiscent of that 2018-19 season, I'm not just saying it because it was a decent performance, but one thing that was so on show in that season, and I think a massive factor in us buying him on a permanent deal, was the fact that he could hold the ball up and he could have 3 or 4 men around him and he'd make his way out the situation. He'd either pass a nice ball off or he'd get himself out of it with his body. He was strong, he'd hold the ball up well, and we sort of haven't seen an awful lot of that from him since then. He usually gives the ball away, or he gets pushed off it, or he gets lost in possession, whereas today I think he was very solid at holding the ball up and, like I said, playing it off and not giving it away and just doing the simple bits, really. And ultimately, that's what we need Andre Gomez to do, just do the simple bits. So I thought he had a really good game, to be honest with you. One of the standout performances in an Everton shirt, so he's getting an 8.5. Abdoulaye Doucouré is getting a 7. Again, can't fault his work rate, can't fault his engine. The lad doesn't stop. He absolutely doesn't stop from minute 1 to minute 90. This lad is still running now, I'm convinced. He just constantly running, constantly putting defenders under pressure, constantly, picking the ball up and moving it forward and nicking the ball off the opposition and getting forward. But I do think his passing was a little bit poor today, certainly in that first half. I think he gave it away a couple of times unnecessarily. I think he tried 2 difficult passes on a number of occasions as well. But overall, like I said, you can't fault Abdoulaye Doucouré. What Abdoulaye Doucouré lacks in maybe is passing ability at times. He certainly makes up for it in the fact that almost every time he gives the ball away, he's there, he's the first person there, he's winning it back. And the amount of times when the ball just dropped in areas today and you're thinking, we have to be there to win that, we have to be the first to that ball, and he's the first there, and he gets us forward, or he takes it out of the danger area. So he's getting a 7 today again. Another decent performance by Doucouré. Could he be better? I think absolutely. I think he knows that. I think possession wise and keeping the ball and passing wise as well, I think he knows he could be better, but a decent performance by him today. Alan, obviously on his return, fantastic to see Alan back. I'm giving him a 7.5. I think we've seen in spells how important he is to this Everton team in terms of picking the ball up and nicking it off the opposition and playing some nice passes and turning with it and like I said, just being that sort of pit bull in the middle of the park. Again, passing maybe let him down on a couple of occasions today, but I put that simply down to not enough playing time. The lad's been out for 3-4 months, hasn't played a competitive game of football in a long time, and played the entire sort of 90 minutes today from start to finish. So I understand if he's getting the ball and his passing mightn't be necessarily spot on. That's a little bit of lack of match fitness, that's a little bit of lack of obviously game time recently, but overall, like I said, we've seen in a number of occasions what Alan brings to this Everton team in terms of that energy and that aggressiveness in the middle of the park and winning the ball back and being that sort of second line of defence, if you like, ahead of the defence in giving them that security, and I think he done that well today. Could he have been better again passing wise? Yes, but I can't really put too much blame on him because he's been out for a long time. So he's getting a 7.5. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's getting a 7. Worked really hard today, obviously big part of playing the goal, winning the header and then winning the chest, I think, to play it to Gylfi Sigurdsson. Other than that, he wasn't massively in the game, Dom. He didn't have an awful lot of opportunities. We didn't have an awful lot of opportunities today. It wasn't, like I said, in terms of a game of football, it wasn't great whatsoever. It wasn't, nothing really happened. I mean, we scored the opener. They come forward in the second half, had a little bit of possession. Last 10 minutes, they tried to get an equaliser. Other than that, everything in between was just very much of us having the ball for 5 minutes and then giving it away, them doing the same, and then back and forth. So Dom really didn't get an awful lot of chances today. There wasn't an awful lot of creativity for him, but he run round, he worked hard, he gave Salisu an absolutely horrifying night of football. I think every time he jumped up, Salisu went down holding his head moaning because he just couldn't deal with it, to the point where he was taken off. And I think Vestergaard went to man marking him. But again, wasn't as great as the night. He'll be probably a little bit disappointed that he wasn't as involved in the game. But sometimes you have games like that where we just don't create an awful lot, and Dom, unfortunately, isn't as involved in terms of in front of goal. But he worked hard today, so he's getting a 7. And then Richarlison, for me, is getting an 8.5, but probably just edges it for man of the match. The goal is exceptional, absolutely exceptional. It's an unbelievable pass it through by Gylfi Sigurdsson to find them, and not only is it brilliant because he rounds the keeper, but also if you look at the goal again, it's such a tight angle, it's such a difficult shot to take and to put in, and if he's even a little bit off balance, if he's even a little bit sort of stuttering, then there's every chance he misses that, but he doesn't. He slots it in the back of the net, and 6 minutes in, and you're thinking, right, this could be a 5 or 6 nil here, go out and get another couple. Obviously it didn't end up like that, but not only the goal, I thought he again worked really hard today, won the ball back on a number of occasions at the start of the game, certainly in that first half, getting in and nicking the ball back from them and forcing them into making defensive errors. So I thought he had a really, really good game. Apologies, sorry, a little bit of a tickly throat. I thought he had a really, really good game, worked really hard. Second half, faded out a little bit, but as did Everton, to be fair, in terms of an attacking unit. But in the first half, I think he was pivotal, and obviously his goal is the winner, so he is getting an 8.5 and man of the match for me. Onto the substitutes bench then. Alex Iwobi, have given him a 7. Come on and done an awful, an absolutely unbelievable, far from awful, absolutely unbelievable bit of skill to keep hold of the ball in the corner. Just absolutely rinsed everybody, didn't he? His close foot control was like Lionel Messi in his prime, mate. Kept the ball in the corner for about 35 seconds, and then ultimately they got it out. Didn't do an awful lot much after that. come forward a couple of times and played a couple of decent passes, so he's getting a 7. And then Josh King come on, 6.5 for Josh King. Again, it is the worst score of the day, but come on with 5 minutes to go and you know, maybe touch the ball on a couple of occasions, didn't really have an awful lot to do in the game whatsoever. So there you go. Look, considering we started with a very, very strong team, but it included the likes of Alan, who's playing his first game back for months, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who'd been out with an injury as well, and you looked at the subs bench and there was really only Bernard, Alex Iwobi and Josh King who could have come on, and you would have had confidence in changing the game. A lot of young players in there, obviously Astley, Nathan Broadhead, Tyler Onyongo in there, Kyle John as well. So, you know, missing some key players like like James Rodriguez and Tom Davis and Seamus Coleman. I think that's a massive, massive result today, and a big, big 3 points. And ultimately, we'll go on to Thursday now, another massive game against West Bromwich Albion, and another game where we absolutely have to get the win. Look, if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Don't forget to check out the instant match reaction as well. That is up now on the channel. Massive, massive thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. Like I said, check out the Football News 365 app for all your latest Everton news, scores and information in the description down below. Massive thank you for watching. Up the toffees, and we'll see you soon.